Hi friends, welcome back to another episode of LBM Talks Social Media. Welcome to LBM Talks Social Media. I'm Sally Lacey, the social media manager for LBM Journal, and every other week I have conversations with lumber dealers from around the country about how they're using social media to grow their business. I hope you stick around because it's time to get social. Welcome back to another episode and welcome to the first ever solo episode of LBM Talks Social Media. It is just me today and I am very excited about this. This is so much fun to just come on here and chat with you guys about social media management, content creation in the LBM industry, and just connecting with each other and growing our exposure online. I'm so excited to be here, and I want to continue to do more of these solo episodes in the future. So kind of the whole idea is to maybe do a little bit of a deeper dive with different social media management and content creation topics. Today, we are going to be talking about algorithms. But I am open to a plethora of different topics. I have a few other things that I would love to talk about. But before we get started, I was just going to say that I'm happy you're here. I'm so grateful for you if you are here watching or listening. It is my genuine hope to be of value to you today during this episode. And I also just wanted to say that I would love to know who you are if you are watching this episode. Are you a consistent listener? Do you listen to every episode? Are you usually an LBM Talks credit listener who is now hopping over to LBM Talks social media? Do you usually listen to this podcast in the car? Do you listen to it at work? I would just love to know who you guys are. I probably know some of you guys, in person. I have had some people reach out to me and give me feedback on the podcast, usually positive feedback, which is really nice and great. But yeah, I would just love to hear from you guys for real. Like, this podcast is for you. I love social media. I love all of it. And I want this podcast to be legitimately helpful. So feel free to tell me. Shoot me an email. My email is just sally@lbmjournal.com. Wow, I haven't even introduced myself. If you are new here, I'm Sally, and I'm the social media manager for LBM Journal. Have been for, oh my gosh, how long has it been? Has it only been 2 years? I think it has only been 2 years. Yeah, shoot me an email. I would just absolutely love to hear from you. Comment on my promo posts on LinkedIn, all that. Let's build a community. I want to hear if you have any topic ideas for in-depth episodes or these solo episodes. Would love the feedback. So yes, I'm grateful that you're here. So yes, this first in-depth solo episode, yap episode, coffee and yap, is about algorithms. And I don't know what you guys know about algorithms. I'm going to share kind of my thoughts on it, the research that I've done. And my goal is to just help us better understand the social media platforms so that we can create content that's optimized for them, right? Because the whole goal is to get our brand and our content and our team and our services in front of as many people as we can. And understanding the algorithm is just an asset for that, right? So, according to Google, the literal definition of an algorithm is a process or set of rules to be followed in calculations or other problem-solving operations, especially by a computer. So, algorithms are also in social media platforms, and it sounds like with the definition of an algorithm, it is like a set of rules or processes that these softwares behind the scenes are using to analyze content and analyze people on the platform. So we are going to go through the algorithm on different platforms. They're really only slightly different, kind of depending on like the purpose of the platform. But essentially, from what I've gathered, is that the algorithm is, for the most part, kind of doing the same exact thing on every platform. And the thing that it is doing is when content is posted to any social media platform, be it LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, X, YouTube, Pinterest, anything like that, these algorithms are analyzing the piece of content. They are looking for what it's about because they have people on their platforms that are interested in certain things, right? We all have different interests, and these platforms are so massive. There's just tons of content on all of them that they need to know what your piece of content is about so that they can share it to the right person, because these platforms are trying to give the best user experience possible to their users, to all of us, right? Like Instagram wants us to stay on Instagram. YouTube wants us to stay there. And so they want to show us content that is going to be of interest to us or of value to us. So they're analyzing content for what it's about. And they're also analyzing it for, so that's relevance. They're also looking at like how good of a piece of content is it. So some algorithms push them out to a small group of people and they look at how people interact with that. And like, if there's a lot of engagement, that means it's, an interesting, valuable piece of content, and they'll push it to more people. But, if it doesn't get much, then it's like, okay, this maybe isn't that great. Relevance, engagement. And they also look at your platforms. They're analyzing people's profiles to see who you are, what you're interested in, and who you know. Who are you? Okay, so that is the basis of these social media platforms, right? That is what they are all trying to do. Okay, so now let's get into the specific platforms. I'm gonna look at LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Starting with LinkedIn, this information I mainly got from Hootsuite. Hootsuite is just a social media management software or platform. And this is what they had to say. So they basically said that the LinkedIn algorithm is not necessarily, its goal is not necessarily virality. It wants to give you valuable pieces of professional information, and it wants to share information or personal updates from people you know with you that you're going to care about. So LinkedIn has a 3-step process. When you post a piece of content, the first step it takes is it goes through a spam filter, trying to detect if it's spam, and some things that might set this alert off, or like excessive tagging of random people, kind of like clickbait sort of things that just tries to get meaningless engagement, posting a lot in a short period of time. All of those things can trigger spam. So like, we want to be real people and real businesses on these platforms. Sometimes it will go through a human review, sometimes it won't. And so if it passes this spam filter, the next thing it will go to is an engagement test. So it sounds like in about the first hour that a piece of content is out on LinkedIn, they push it to a small group of people in your network. And they're just looking at how much engagement it gets to judge whether or not it is a valuable piece of content. So, if it gets a lot of engagement, they'll push it out to more and more people, etc. If it doesn't, it might just stop in its tracks. And, if it does get pushed to more and more people, these are not just, random people. Again, the algorithm is still working, and it's analyzing and predicting the next group, or the more people that it should show this piece of content to, based off of your career, based off of your listed set of skills on LinkedIn, based off of who you know, based off of all these different things. The algorithm might show you that piece of content if they think that you are going to find it of interest. So there is that set of elements in practice. Just some recent algorithm changes that I did read up on is that the platform and algorithm are kind of rewarding expertise. So, if somebody's talking about a particular topic over and over again, they might be labeled as an expert. It seems like increased visibility is something that they do for that, getting better at detecting clickbait. And I also read that they prioritize content without outbound links, which is something that I kind of struggle with. I'm just not sure if it's worth it to not be posting my outbound links. I don't know. I don't know if the pros outweigh the cons there, but I just thought I would share that piece of information. So that is the LinkedIn algorithm. Obviously we can talk about, this is about algorithms. We can talk about content another time, but again, these different platforms, they have different purposes and that calls for different kinds of content. So we will talk about that another time, but for now that is LinkedIn. And also with that kind of bit at the end about recent algorithm changes, I think that is where you get a little into the depths with algorithms that I am not 100% sure you need to 100% listen to. The whole kind of expert thing and the outbound links, those I think there is some wiggle room for, but the underlying idea of the algorithm is what's going to help us, okay? So let's move on to Instagram. Yay! So this set of information is from another social media management platform called Later. So on Instagram, you guys, the algorithm, it's essentially the same. But Instagram has all these different feeds. They have your main feed where you see content from the people you follow, but Instagram is also now suggesting content on that personal feed. You have the stories, different algorithm. You have the Reels feed and you have the Explore page. Again, they're all just trying to show you the best pieces of content, but the goal is a little different. So, in your feed posts, they're ranking the content of the people that you follow. So, if 5 different people post a piece of content in 5 minutes and then you go on to the platform, they're going to rank which ones they think are the most interesting to you based off of how often you interact with them, how other people are interacting with it, comments, engagement, all that kind of stuff. Okay? And then your suggested content, they are looking at the kinds of topics that you're interested in, etc., of course. Stories, again, it's all about engagement. How engaged are other people in your story? What's the history of you engaging with this company or this person's story? So the goal for the Reels feed is entertainment, which, as LBM professionals, we are not always going for virality. However, I think there is something to learn from this theme of entertainment. Because even if you're not going for virality, when somebody's watching a reel, they want it to be entertaining, right? So I just think that there's something to learn from that. Even if you are still creating content just for your audience, the idea is for your videos to still be entertaining because that's going to keep your followers on the video for longer. That's going to get your message across clearer and hopefully push it out to more people. Another thing that's kind of interesting with that is one way that Instagram suggests content to its users is they look at you and then they'll look at people that are similar to you, have similar interests in you, and they'll look at what those people are liking and engaging with, and then they'll predict and be like, okay, well maybe Sally would like this piece of content considering her interest also in this topic. That is just kind of interesting, I thought. And then there's the Explore page. I think is mainly just about popularity. So considering the topics that you're interested in, they'll maybe show you really popular posts, kind of in that genre. All that to say, some tips for this in optimizing our social media content for Instagram and these other platforms is, one tip is SEO. I think thinking about the algorithms like SEO can be really valuable because that's essentially what it is. It's just optimizing your content so that the computer knows what it's about and who to show it to. So in your captions, making sure you use words or hashtags that are going to tell the computer, oh, this post is about sustainability, or this post is about cooking, or this post is about fashion, is a great way to optimize. Increasing engagement in your stories can be as simple as like using more stickers, doing polls, asking questions, really encouraging that engagement with your stories. And it also just creates a better community, with your brand. And then maybe jumping on trends. That's kind of just a good way to aim to get some more reach, is kind of hopping on a trend. So that is Instagram, you guys. So let's go on to Facebook, where these are kind of getting a little repetitive, so I might start going a little faster. All about engagement again, you guys. So for the reels, like how often is this video being watched, etc. Facebook has like a 4-step process. Their first one is taking inventory of all the content that has been posted. So they take inventory, then they analyze it. They use these signals, basically, who are you? Who am I to the person who posted this? Is it my mom? Is it my grandma? What is our history of interactions? What is it about? What's the engagement on this? And then they'll predict it, they'll give it a score, and they'll rank it in your feed. Pretty similar. Let's move on. Next is TikTok. Okay, you guys, TikTok is such a fun platform. I just thought I would put this in here. I know that not a lot of people in our audience are on TikTok, but some are. I recently talked with Amy Smiley from 84 Lumber. They're on TikTok, which I thought was super smart, mainly for recruiting purposes. Like, they're all over the country. The demographic of TikTok users is really young. So I think that just made a lot of sense. And then I also have Patrick Kenefick, who I talked to a while ago from Cape Cod Lumber, say that they were on TikTok and they basically just use it for feedback. Because TikTok is just all about authenticity and people being honest and genuine. And sometimes that means very blunt, and he'll share something and then he'll basically read all the comments to get feedback on stuff, which was very interesting. But TikTok, personally, one of my favorite social media platforms. I would say TikTok and Instagram are my favorite, mainly for entertainment purposes. But yeah, so we can talk more about that another time. But again, we're sticking to algorithms. Guys, TikTok, pretty much the same, right? So they look at your profile. What kind of content do you usually engage with? What kind of creators resonate with you? What kind of topics are you interested? Who do you interact with the most? They'll also do this interesting thing where they'll look at the content that you post and be like, oh, Sally must be interested in this topic because she's talking about it on TikTok. I just find that kind of interesting. Again, optimization, hashtags, captions, sounds, trying to figure out what this video is about. Video completion rate, big metric, you guys, when you're making videos. Try to keep them short. Cut out unnecessary stuff, because the longer the video or the better the video completion rate means it's a better quality video. It's going to be pushed further. Keep that in mind when making videos. Some things that don't matter on TikTok is your follower count. And this is a trend that I think has actually already taken place, where in the past it's been follower count is really important for creators and maybe the algorithm. But now it's well, especially on TikTok, it's just kind of an interesting platform where followers is less popular than just your algorithmic For You page. So it's interesting that doesn't matter at all. Neither does the reach on your previous videos. It's all just kind of per video. So if one video is doing well, you could have one video with 1 million views and the others 500. So just kind of interesting. Again, the tips are just hashtags, short videos, keyword-rich captions, time of day. That's an interesting one, you guys. Keep in mind when you are posting. Let's take LinkedIn, for example. I don't post on LinkedIn on Fridays because not a lot of people are on LinkedIn on Fridays. I have genuinely noticed that we get less engagement on Fridays, maybe even Thursdays too. So keep that in mind. When are people using that platform? And it's different per platform. So you guys, the last platform we are going to look at is YouTube. Another awesome, I don't even know if I would call it social media. I guess you could. social media platform. You guys, YouTube is awesome. I think a lot of the times people think that YouTube has to be like super produced video. That's just not true. It's still more so about the content. Like for all of these platforms, we want to be providing value to the whoever's on the other side. So like a not good produced do-it-yourself video that's like 3 minutes long is going to perform most likely way better than a highly produced, really boring 10-minute long DIY video. It's all about the quality of the content. And then also the optimization. I would definitely say that's like the second biggest thing, because your video is not going to get pushed. Your content's not going to get pushed if the algorithm doesn't know what it's about. YouTube, a lot of people say SEO is big. That's basically the algorithm, I think. So what does it look at? The same things, you guys. Engagement metrics. How much engagement is your video getting? How long are people watching it? Likes, clicks, comments, shares. It also looks at relevance, keywords, optimize your titles, optimize your description. And that doesn't mean being super wordy and just kind of being unnecessarily long and like thorough. It just means put in the relevant information in the descriptions. And for your captions, your titles, make it a title that someone would want to click on. Like 5 ways to invest, or 5 ways to do this or that. Give people a reason to click. There are also different feeds on YouTube. There's a homepage, suggested videos, search. The algorithm is working through all of these. So just some tips for YouTube. Again, search engine optimization, which is everything we're talking about. Engaging, interesting thumbnails, right? Optimizing your video length like we talked about. Create playlists on YouTube, organize it well. Focus on retention of your audience and you'll be doing great. Okay, you guys, and that is the end of my algorithm sharing session. Why this is all important, I think I have said before. It is not live or die by the algorithm. That's not even possible. The algorithm is not some mystified, ununderstandable thing. That's just not what it is. It is just understanding what is going on behind the scenes and just optimizing your content, right? So just do what you can and then put your phone away, right? So some takeaways is, don't make unnecessarily long content. Make your captions keyword rich. Use hashtags. Even though some people are saying that hashtags are actually dead on Instagram, I'm hearing that be a two-way street. And focus on engagement. That seems to be the underlying message, is content with high engagement is pushed the most. Content with high engagement is seen as valuable, is seen as good, is seen as desired. So my challenge to you is to go back and look at some of your content and look at how these pieces of content are performing. Are some performing significantly better than others? Is there more reach on some of your content than others? Is there more engagement on some of your content than others? And kind of just look at why you think that is and just continue to try to replicate that. I'm preaching to the choir here. I have been aiming to sit down and create a bunch of content myself, but it kind of keeps getting pushed to the back. I know it can be scary to be creative and to do things that, push the professional boundaries sometimes. But I personally think that that's the answer. And I think it's okay. And I think it's the way that things are moving. And I think it's okay to have fun and be silly sometimes. So those are just my personal opinions and experiences. So you guys, that is everything I have on algorithms. Don't be afraid of the algorithm, rather befriend it. use it to your advantage, because that's really all it is. So that is all I have for you guys today. Don't forget to send me an email with topic recommendations for these solo episodes. Don't forget to leave a comment. If you're on Spotify, there's a comment section. Feel 100% free to do that. If you're on YouTube, leave us a comment. I would just absolutely love to hear from you guys. That is it for today, and I'll talk to you another time. Bye.